Let's get stuck into another episode on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. If I'm getting this right, we're up to about episode, it's 448 or 449. So honing in on the 450. The 450 will be coming in from Japan. So I'm super, super excited. So thanks for listening in. Let me give you some value today, guys. I want to talk about this idea of 15 minutes is all you need. 15 minutes is all you need to work out. So many people say time is their biggest excuse. So we're going to break that down today. We're going to have a very honest conversation, and I'm going to challenge something that I think a lot of you probably believe, which is that a 15-minute workout is basically useless. That right there is the reason that you may not be working out, or it might be the reason you're inconsistent in your workouts. I had an exact conversation about this topic on a Zoom call, a coaching call with our clients yesterday, where a couple of the boys, proper hardworking blokes, up at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, physical jobs, on their feet all day. They come home absolutely wrecked, and then kid wants attention, wife wants a conversation, and somewhere in that, they're trying to fit an hour in to train. Now, of course, there's the female version of that, which can look very different, but very similar as well. Now, this is why workouts tend to be the thing that people have the hardest time implementing. They can kind of batch their steps, they can improve their nutrition at all, but they think that when it comes to working out, I'm just lazy, or I don't care, or they think, how the hell am I going to fit this into my actual life? I know that I should be doing it. And so they blame themselves as if there's something wrong with them. And what I want to do today is talk about a new way to think about your training. It's probably a little bit embarrassing, if I'm honest, that it's taken me 450 episodes to address this topic, because this is the topic that I think particularly women and men over 40 years of age need to hear. This, I'm hoping, is a penny drop moment for you, because you don't need more time. You need smarter ways to use the time that you've already got. So we have this big lie, right? Which is, if I can't do an hour of working out, it's not worth it. There's something about the hour mark, right? Somewhere along the way, we were sort of sold this idea that a workout has to be an hour minimum. Now we've got to warm up, we've got to do our main lifts, then we've got our accessory lifts, then we might chuck on a finisher, then like do some fucking sweat angels on the floor. This template was built for 22-year-old lads and ladies with nothing but time. Think about where you were, when you were 20 years old. You literally had a bunch of time, full of pre-workout and ready to go. It wasn't built for a 43, 53, 63, 70-year-old mum or dad with 2 kids, a mortgage, and a body that creaks when you get out of bed. So what happens is you look at your day and you think, holy shit, like I can't find an hour. So you do nothing. And then you feel guilty. And then you tell yourself, I just need to get serious next week. And next week comes. You don't get serious because you're still the same busyness as last week. And the classic all or nothing thinking sets in. You think to yourself, if I can't do it properly, I won't do it at all. But here's the truth. Small and done beats perfect postponed. Guys, if you're playing along with this and you're actively listening to this, you should write that in the comments as a statement to yourself. Small and done beats perfect postponed. Every single time. So let's talk about why a 15-minute workout can actually be better than a long hour-long workout. And here is where you kind of lean in and really get sold on the juice here. Because I'm not just saying 15 minutes is kind of better than nothing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying 15 to 20 minute workout is for a few reasons superior, better. Let's break it down. Number one, if you do two exercises for 3 sets, that's a total of 6 sets a day. We're going to train every day for 15 to 20 minutes. 6 sets. So if you did that 6 to 7 days, that's 36 to 42 quality sets. Oftentimes, that's more volume over a week than people would do in 3 days a week for an hour programs. So actually, the volume is not too little if you're committing to 2 exercises, 3 sets a day for 6 to 7 days. Second, frequency. And this is something that I think is so important. This is the reason why people that change their programs all of the time, they're kind of doing F45 one day and they're doing bloody gymnastics the next day, and like it doesn't work. You get better at lifting and your body improves because lifting is a skill. So like all skills, you have to repeat it. You don't get better at golf by playing once a week. You get better at piano by practicing every day. You get better at movement and lifting weights by practicing every day. When you train more frequently, even in small chunks, your coordination improves. When I did the podcast with Zach a couple of episodes ago, we talked about how important it is to repeat and repeat and repeat, because from your nervous system, it needs to learn the movements. It needs to adapt. Consistency is key. Absolutely, Marimi says. Your technique improves and the stimulus becomes clean. Third, so I'm selling you on the reasons that you should be thinking about this, because if you're not implementing 15-minute workouts, this might be the unlock for you. Consistency. A 15-minute workout, it doesn't generally need you to hype yourself up. It doesn't need motivation, so to speak. It's 15 minutes. It's 2 exercises. It doesn't need a long, perfect podcast playing in the background and the perfect mood. You can just haul your ass in and do it. It doesn't need you to pump yourself up to start. And for a lot of people, would you agree that starting and trying to commit to an hour is a bit of a hurdle? Fourth, and I love this point, identity. There's a big difference in your identity between I train 3 times a week and I train every day. I tell you repeatedly on this podcast and in our program, a lot of you are overtraining. You're doing too many days and the quality of your days is kind of shit because you're training too often. But if we shrink those sessions down, all of a sudden you go in and you do 2, maybe 3 exercises, 15 to 20 minutes done, that hits differently. When you do something daily, do you believe it's easier to help that become part of your identity? One of the biggest things that you can focus on from a sleep perspective, go to bed at the same time every day. I guarantee you that if you go to bed one day at 11 o'clock and the next day at 8 o'clock and the next day at 1 a.m., you've got a sleep problem. 100% you've got a sleep problem. You need to go to bed at the same time and wake at the same time. Watch what happens to your sleep. The same is true with our workouts. If you become the person that trains at 6 a.m. or whatever it is for you for 15 to 20 minutes and you do it every day, including the weekends, what's going to happen? It's just going to be a fixed part of your schedule. Even if your daughter needs to go to netball or your son needs to go to footy, that's okay. I've just got to get my 15-minute workout in because that's who I am. When you do something daily, it becomes part of who you are. Momentum builds. And then finally, energy. A 60-minute smash-up session that can, for a lot of people, particularly if you're carrying a lot of weight, that can really drain you because you're moving your body for a long period of time. A 15-minute focused session with 2 exercises can really give you energy. It can get your blood flow moving rather than sitting down and pooling, and you finish thinking, huh, that was easy. I did it. I feel achievement. I want to come back tomorrow and do the same thing. Is part of the problem that you feel like a failure because you can't commit to the 1 hour? And so because you can't commit to the 1 hour today, you miss it tomorrow because you felt like a failure not being able to commit to it yesterday? If you had done a 15-minute session yesterday, 2 exercises I'm talking about, and we're going to go through what that could be, you'd walk into today feeling like, oh, fuck, I didn't want to do it yesterday, but I did it yesterday, and what happened? I felt good. Let's just get it done. So I'm speaking to the early risers here and the hard workers. Let's talk specifically about the guys getting up at stupid o'clock. Now, I'm not saying I still train 1 hour sessions, but I have a very, very flexible schedule. I have to be podcast time, coaching call time, kickoff call time. I've got things in my schedule so I can plan around that. But if you don't have that schedule or you don't have 1 hour blocks to do it, let's talk about you, the tradies, the shift workers, the labor guys. As an example, you're already tired, okay? By the time you get home, if you're not training in the morning, training in the afternoon is rough. You're cooked, right? If you've got a job where it's physical, that's tough. And then some 20-year-old fitness influencer that you see on Instagram tells you, just get fucking motivated, hit the gym after work. Well, like that sounds good, but practically, mate, you've got to be realistic. You're adding another hour of stuff at the end of your day when you're the most fatigued. If you could change that to, I need 15 minutes before the day runs away from me. 15 minutes in the garage, 15 minutes in the lounge room, 15 minutes before the kids wake up, 15 minutes while you listen to me talk to you on the podcast. That's it. And here's the kicker. Those 15 minutes set the tone for your entire day, or if you do it in the afternoon, they help you to feel like you've won. They say to you and your identity, I move, I train, I look after myself. Tick, done. Instead of, I'll try later when I have time, which never works. I still do think that mornings are the best time to work out. Can you find 15 minutes? Can you find an hour? That's a different conversation. So let's talk about the exercise snack principle. This idea isn't just for lifting. And this message is well known by people who are in our community and have been for a long period of time. But for the ladies and gents that are newer, it applies, this exercise snacking applies to movement in general. We've kind of been conditioned to thinking 10,000 steps is the best way. Like just going out for a long walk means one big 10,000 step block. But what if it didn't have to be? What if it was just like 5 2,000 step walks? After breakfast, you go for a walk. After lunch, you go for a walk. After dinner, you go for a walk. A quick mid-afternoon loop of the block. Suddenly, it's not this massive, giant mountain. It's manageable. Breaking it up, guess what that does? It gets you out of this shitty, rounded posture that you sit in every day while you're at a desk or driving. You get up, you go for a 10-minute walk, bang out 2,000 steps, go back to work. It stops all of that blood and lactic acid pooling in your legs after a workout. It's manageable. Breaking it up is better for your posture. If you sit at a desk all day, it resets your spine. It improves your digestion. Research shows very, very clearly, if you have gut issues, which is a lot of people have gut issues, just certain meals don't sit with them or they feel really tired. If you get up and take a walk after your meal, why, God, it just changes things. Walking after a meal is fantastic for blood sugar control. It clears your head, improves productivity. Mentally, it's easier. So 5 small wins feel achievable over one gigantic target that feels overwhelming. Exercise snacks, movement snacks, small chunks done often and accumulated over the course of the day, this is how busy people win. Now, myself, for example, whilst I typically do 1 hour workouts, I typically don't do 10,000 steps at a time. I'll do 1,000 steps at a time. I'll walk around the house, do a couple of videos, do a call. I'm accumulating the steps. So when we talk about a simple implementation plan, let's make this like really, really practical for you guys that are, I haven't looked at the comments yet, but you guys that are actually thinking, well, this could work for me. If you're going to train at home, I'm going to suggest you just start with resistance bands or a pair of adjustable dumbbells. We're not needing to go out and buy a full gym here. That's it. Each morning, you pick, or better still, we give in a program 2 exercises, 3 sets, 6 total, 15 minutes. 2 exercises, 3 sets, 15 minutes, done. So day 1 might be something like push-ups on the knees and rows with a set of dumbbells, as an example. Day 2 might be squats, goblet squats with 1 dumbbell, and then overhead press with 2 dumbbells. So we've got an upper-lower type split, or we've got a push-pull type split. Day 3 might be some lunges, some reverse lunges, and some band pull-aparts. There are many ways that you can do this. You rotate the movement patterns each week potentially. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated, just repeatable stuff that you get in. You don't negotiate with yourself. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't debate whether you brush your teeth or not. You just do it. Now, if you're in Better Body Academy, we've actually yesterday taken this, and this is the reason why I'm doing this podcast, and built it in to a program just for you, okay? So here's the way it would work. Troy has put together exactly what I said, a banger of a program, and credit to Troy. He's the best personal trainer I know. This is why we're doing the podcast. I want you to let me know in the group, not on this podcast, if you want this added to your account, okay? 15 minutes, no fluff, just effective, repeatable training. And you need to ask your coach inside of Better Body Academy, and we will load it into your app. Okay? I've briefed the coaches on what this will mean. The men's one's done. The women's one, which won't take long, is a simple alteration from that, and it would just be body weight and dumbbells. This means that you can do it tomorrow. Now, the question that a lot of people are going to ask, guys that have been around our ecosystem a little bit longer, they're going to say, yeah, but will it build muscle? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do with our strength training. We're not trying to burn calories. That's not the goal. Will it build muscle? Will it retain muscle? Will it help us change our body composition in 15 to 20 minutes? Yes, it will. Muscle responds to tension and consistency. Tension and consistency. Now, you might think to yourself, yeah, but 15 minutes is not intense enough. Well, intensity is relative to the person. Okay? This is really important. Intensity is relative to you, how hard you make it. It might not look hard to me, but for you, it's hard. Does that make sense? Intensity is measured by, have you taken those 6 sets, 2 exercises, have you taken them close to what we call failure? This is the repetition that you're doing slows down, and you can't do it at the same speed as first repetition. This was coming from the Zach podcast definition, right? The first repetition, the final repetition looks exactly like the first repetition, just slower. And you keep forcing it out until that is the intensity you need to work at for those 6 exercises, and you will build muscle. And then you might say to yourself, well, I need to sweat more though. Sweat is not a prerequisite for fat loss. It doesn't work like that. What actually happens is it just comes down to calorie balance, whether you lose fat or not. But remember to develop strength and muscle mass. And what drives that is consistency and intensity. So if those 36 to 42 sets that you do, pushing hard enough on those for that 15 minutes, you will absolutely build muscle. And consistency around that will drive your results and drive you to stay on track and consistent. The biggest bottleneck for most parents isn't intensity. They can do it for a short period of time. They're just trying to work out, how on earth do I fit this in my schedule? So the penny drop moment. Here's the question I want you to sit with. What if time wasn't a problem and you didn't have to go to the gym? You could work out at home. What if time was not the problem? What if the problem was all this time, and I'll take ownership over this for not coaching you better? What if the problem was believing your workouts had to be an hour long? What if your entire journey changed because you stopped waiting for the perfect hour and started slotting in these beautiful little 15-minute sessions? Now, it's better if it's the same time every day, but again, we have varying schedules. So if one day it is the morning and the next day it's the afternoon, but it's a 15-minute block, bang. Imagine 12 months of you doing that. Just think about it. 12 months of you doing that. 15 minutes a day, 6 to 7 days a week. That's going to equate to 70 to 75, 80 hours of training in a year. Can you find 70 to 80 hours a year? All of a sudden, that doesn't sound as hard, right? Because you're chunking it down. That's the difference between you looking either skinny fat, like you have no composition because you're avoiding resistance training. This is the difference between you running into diet plateaus consistently because the only lever that you've got is to eat less or walk more. This is you dropping sizes in your dresses and your shirts because you're getting less fatter and it's being replaced with muscle. This is the difference between you looking in the mirror and thinking, hang on, I got tone here, as we like to call it. If you're not doing resistance training, you're not going to build tone. Now, let's pretend that you're going down the line of some of the GLP-1s and you're on a Ozempic. This is the difference between you stimulating your muscles enough to preserve them rather than those muscles just falling off and you ending up back in the same place again. It's not through extremes, it's through repetition, it's through an identity shift, and it's boring, consistent, but doable. And Jesus is saying on Instagram, better than doing nothing at all, which is my current situation. And this is the point, right? We insert a 15-minute session. So here's the challenge for you as we wind this podcast up. If you have been struggling to get to the gym, if you're already consistent in the gym 3 or 4 days a week, amazing. Keep doing that. You don't need to change anything. But if you're going through a period, for example, where you're having a shift in your life, whereby you're traveling a lot, so you've been inconsistent, where you're detrained, so there's been a long period of time where you've done nothing. Let's say there's any reason that's hindered your consistency, rather than continuing to look for this big 1 hour block every day, for the next 14 days, I want you to commit to 15 minutes. That's it. At home, not at a gym. 2 exercises, 3 sets, no drama, no excuses, just consistency. Watch what happens to your confidence when you start working out. Watch what happens to your momentum when you start working out every day. And watch what happens when you stop making the excuse that I don't have time and you start prioritizing yourself. You're slotting in these 15-minute workouts, and guess what's going to happen? You will find time, and you might become the gym person that actually goes to the gym but says they won't now because they're too scared and too nervous. And I get all of that because it's intimidating. But all of a sudden, a weird thing that's happened in my observations, and we'll finish on this note, to all of you that are a bit more experienced with us, and I'm speaking to my client group here, guys, how many of you had no time when you started BBA, like flat out had no time. You were going to come in and make some dietary changes, of course, but you had no time. There was no way you were going to work out. It's funny how all of a sudden you find time once you find confidence and self-belief. Isn't that remarkable? Happens all the time. Terry Holden, no time. Nick Friend, no time. Chris Lupton, no time. Vicky Milroy, no time. Xanth, no time. All of these people, no time. Fuck, all of a sudden they've got time. Why? Because they were able to find little ways to insert and change their lifestyle, and small things become big things. All I want to do with the intention of this podcast is break down this idea that it's meant to look a certain way. It doesn't need to look a certain way. If you can be consistent, 2 exercises every day of the week, this will change the game for you. And the more I think about it, to be honest, given that we really only have people in our program that are over 30 at least, it's like a bit dumb that I haven't done this exercise earlier. I said to Carly before this episode, I sent her a message and said, please watch the podcast. I want this to become the thing. Because for those that are getting started, it is just like, oh, I can do that. I can insert that. I can get a pair of adjustable dumbbells from Kmart. Perfect. Let's go. Now, to those, just to finish off, to those that are more experienced, like the people that I just mentioned, and Terry and Nick and Vicky and these types of people, if you go through periods of your life where, you know what, you're feeling sore from your big, long workouts and you're feeling run down, rather than taking a complete deload, you could implement something like this. You could say, you know what, I'm just going to, for 2 to 4 weeks, I'm just going to work out at home, right? I'm going to recalibrate and work out at home. I'm going to take away the commute to the gym back and forward. I'm just going to commit to doing this for the next month. My bet is that your results won't actually change that much, which is amazing. Don't underestimate the power of breaking it down and snacking. Guys, I'm going to love you and leave you there. This has been the Better Body Academy podcast. And if you have got value out of this episode, please, guys, especially if you're a client, please go and share this episode on your stories and at least give the podcast a review on whatever platform you're in. Thanks for joining us this morning, and I will see you in the next episode. Peace. All right, team. So here we are. I'm coming over to the comments now. Hello, Jace. Hello, Pascal. Good morning, Chris. Pascal says, would love that 15-minute workout. Yep. So can you send the coaching inbox a message, and I will forewarn everyone. I added it to 3 of the boys' accounts yesterday, Pascal. So but 3 of those boys, Steve Volts, Brett Vertel, and there was one more, Marty Baker. 2 of them have written back and said, like, this is great. I needed this. This helps. A lot of people are just at the point where they're just so frazzled around like getting started that this is just so perfect to get started. Again, I'm really fucking embarrassed, to be honest, that I haven't done this earlier. Reading over to the girls group, Carly's saying more is not necessarily better. It's not. In fact, more is often worse, Carls. The reason more is often worse is because for a lot of people in our age range, they're already stressed from their job. They're stressed from their family. They're stressed from abundance of different things. And exercise and dieting becomes an extra stress. So what they do, I just want to ask our clients, is this you? Is this you? You're busy, man. Like, you're so freaking busy and you run off your feet, and every day you're cooked. Then you're in a calorie deficit, extra stressful on the body because you're losing fat. Then you're flogging yourself with workouts, extra stressful because now you've got to recover from those workouts in a calorie deficit and not sleeping and overstressing. This is why you're treading water, right? Does this make sense? Some pennies dropping here. In the mind, it becomes more manageable. Yes, exactly. It becomes a habit. Yes. Okay. Michelle says, I do a 30-minute walk every morning. And then what I haven't done through the day to get my step. That's exactly right. You're chunking it down. Absolutely. Can we do the same things with our workouts, Michelle? Because a lot of people, what they'll do is they say to us, here's what happens. If this is you, right? They say to us, oh, it's frustrating. Like I lost, the first 5 to 10 kilos, but now I'm struggling to get the last how many ever kilos off. And they're at 1,600 calories, and we can't really cut anything from there. And they're doing 12,000, 13,000 steps. And it's like, how do you do more steps than that? Like 15,000? Like it starts to become a little bit, most of those people are not resistance training. In fact, I can't think of a person that is saying, I'm just not seeing any movement in the direction of my goals, but I'm doing resistance training. Resistance training is just, you have to understand, it is the thing that not only builds muscle, but it is the thing that helps you move the needle, because realistically, steps are really adaptive. Let me explain what I mean. If you're 10 kilos heavier when you started doing 10,000 steps and now you're 10 kilos lighter, think of it almost like a truck carrying passengers and petrol, right? Is it easier for the truck if it's got no passengers and no fuel in the tank? Yes, it's easier because it's dragging less weight. If you are dragging less weight as a human, 10 kilos less than when you started, and you're doing 10,000 steps, you burn less energy doing those 10,000 steps, which is one of the reasons why you adapt. It's one of the reasons why you start to slow down in your progress, is because you're just not burning as many calories anymore doing the thing and keeping you alive. So you enter these fat loss plateaus. If you are resistance training, you are sending the message to your muscles, hey, I'm going to need you. You need to do shit. And in doing shit, that's going to require calories, energy from the diet. And if the diet doesn't provide it, guess what? The body fat will. Hopefully that explanation works. Carly says, I've been doing 15-minute camper van sessions. Amazing. Jess says, I completed 2 20-minute sessions while on vacation. Exactly. Snack workout, Sue said. That's it. Always thought, Karina says, I still have no time. And me too. I got no fucking time. I feel like I'm like, if you guys saw me, you probably maybe see like a really calculated dude or whatever, but behind the scenes, I'm like, just like you, like stressing about how fuck, what am I going to do? Quickly do this. Like, we're all like that. It's not a time issue. It's a priority issue. And if we can make the priority easier to do, that's a good thing. Chantel says, this would work way better for me. I go for a walk every morning, 5 a.m., and then on my feet all day in a factory. Last thing I want to do is work out. And correct. Exactly. Chanel says, so very true. I found the time to do it, but now I make the time. Exactly. Carl's, your point here about everyone has the same amount of time in a day. Yes, of course. But I used to say that, but I just don't think that ever helps people, because it's like, yeah, cheers, dick. Like, you don't know me. And people uniquely think they are more busier than other people because they don't have, you can't see my life and I can't see yours, right? And so we think that we're uniquely busy, but then we've got to remember that the people that are doing it are made of the same shit as you. That's the key thing. I think when we look up at people that are achieving some of the stuff that we like to achieve, I mean, for me, the mark of this is Richard Branson. Like Richard Branson, like how he, like just as a person, he's just amazing what he's done. And he's done it with a smile, and he's always fucking smiling. And I think to myself, he is just a different human. Well, he's not. He probably has like slightly high cholesterol levels. He's probably taken some blood pressure medication. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's the same as us. He's just managed to work out ways to fit stuff in and delegate stuff and get help with stuff. Ruth says, yep, have managed the coaching team. Fantastic. Good morning, Kylie. How are you, babe? I'm not used to you coming in here. as in like in Instagram. 15 minutes is so doable, Jen says. Yep, this sounds perfect. Michelle, send a message. Perfect. Love this as a home option. Mel, perfect. I'm learning, Kate says. This slowly more is not the answer. It's hard, Kate, isn't it? It's hard. It's like, it's really hard to learn that more is not better. Again, this is you fight against this through your 30s and then you kind of hit 40 and then you hit the wall and start putting on weight and then wonder why. It's like, more is not better. We've got to be effective. This would be fantastic when we're in the van. Exactly. I'm loving the gym workouts at the moment. I'm loving the home workouts as I don't like going to the gym. Yeah. And Sam, that'll probably change, right? That'll probably change over time as you get more, it's a confidence thing, right? So yes, let's go. I accept the challenge, Jay. So I'll message the coaches. Good stuff, Kath. What else have we got? Time management is my downfall. Well, Susan, I'm just like, just for what it's worth, I stopped saying time management a long time ago. The reason is because I don't know about you, but there's not quite much that I can do to stop the time or manage the time. It's 5:41 a.m. on my clock here, and sure as hell, in less than 60 seconds, it's going to be 5:42, and there's nothing that I can do to manage that. So we don't manage time. I think, man, I want to go deeper on this year, but like, to me, language is everything. Language is everything. And Tony Robbins talks about this so much. Language is everything. If you're saying to yourself, I'm just time management downfall, time management downfall, well, you can't manage time. You're trying to control something that you can't control and I can't control. It's not your downfall. It's the fact that time's just going to pass and you can't do anything about it. So what's something you can control? Your actions. That's what you can control. And so this is an example, this podcast is an example of an action that you could control, which doesn't require you to manage time, something you can't do. Manage priorities, manage the things that you can do. Like Kate says, good point. I don't think people understand just how important language is. Let me give you an example. These folk watching on Instagram, hey guys, how are you? A lot of the people are struggling you might see 7,000 transformations and proof of what we do works. You might be like, fuck, like I'd really love to get involved in that program. That'd be so good, but you might not. And the reason is because you don't believe in your own ability to follow through. That's not a criticism. That's just, I've been in the same position. So it's a belief issue, right? The reason that Better Body Academy works, check this out, right? Girls, guys, the reason it works is because you come into a community where you see people already doing it that are just like you and way more like you than I am, or Carly is, or Erin, or Dom is, or Troy is, or any of the coaches. They're way more like you. You can relate, right? You can come in, Susan, you can see Nicole Dornbash, who's been here 3 times longer than you, and you can see, fuck, man, like she's doing it. Why can't I? Right? Same thing for the boys. And so what ends up happening is you change your belief system. This is why you become the people that you hang around. Like, that's how. Through a gradual leaking of what you see into your brain changes your belief system. Now, all of a sudden, you think, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And people say affirmations are fucking bullshit. They don't work. Except everything that's not where they want in their life is because of a negative affirmation that they don't even realize that they're saying. I can't do it. 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 Right? One of the guys said to me one day, he said, Jace, like, I don't even know this program. Like, it's almost like awkwardly positive. Like, why is it so positive in here? Like, well, it's not that negative things aren't happening to individuals. It's that individuals in our community should realize that, like, you don't get anything out of repeating the same story. And the reason we have coaches is so that we can try to break patterns, right? Yes, it's important to vent how you're feeling, 100%. But like going and repeating the same story over and over and over again, Mary says it's a mindset. It is a mindset thing. Of course it is. Like, I totally get it. We've got all these transformations. We've got all this proof. We've got all this model. Yeah. Come and sign up. Come and sign up. Yeah, but I don't trust myself. And so what ends up happening for most people is they get to a point where they're just like, well, what else am I going to do? I'll just try this. I don't think it's going to work, but I'll try it. And then 6 months later, 12 months later, all of a sudden they're 15 kilos down and they're like, what the fuck? Like, what just happened? It's because you changed your environment. That's what happens. This is what happens when you start changing the environment. I don't want to hang out with people, as an example, men. Men have this like tendency when they're at the pub to like shitbag their wives and compete about how annoying their wife is. Like, if my wife's annoying and she is sometimes, I'll say that to her face, but I'm not going to go behind her back and talk about how annoying she is and how, like, that's the communication level of some communities. It's just like, oh my God, right? All you guys are fucking talking about is how negative shit is. The most important decision a man or woman needs to make in the world is, do they live in a universe that's trying to get them, that's bad for them, or a generally happy universe? If you make the election to put yourself around happy people, and after you go and spend time with people, you think to yourself, like, I feel good out of that conversation. I've met up with so many people along the way here, right? And now the recent of those was at the weekend. I met up with Brett and Aiden. Next time I'm in Brisbane, right, I would love to meet up with Brett and Aiden again, because I felt good coming away from that situation, right? What about you? Who are the people that you're spending time with that you're like, these fucking people are just draining the shit out of me? Like, what? And you keep going back there. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to change your life, it starts with changing the story. If you want to change the story, it starts by changing who you're spending time with. And it starts with changing what you're saying to yourself on a daily basis. And as soon as you know that you're going down that kind of rhetoric, internal dialogue of like, oh my God, this is hard. I can't do it. Oh, fuck. This is just sucks. Like, admittedly, guys, I'm having some of those thoughts with some things in my own mind at the moment, right? Then I catch the thought and go, this is a great opportunity, because if I crack this opportunity, guess what? On the other side of it is another level. It's another level. It's another level. The only reason that you're not where you want to be in life right now is because you just don't possess the mindset to help you get there. That's not a criticism. But if you think about that, you think to yourself, well, what if I did have the mindset? What if I did have the mindset to lose weight? What if I did have the mindset to leave this job that I fucking hate? What if I did have the mindset to have the conversation with my partner that I need to have because I'm not happy about this thing, or with my best friend because I'm not happy about this thing? Your life explodes and it changes. And so it's not that you can't do it, it's that you haven't adapted to it yet. And we've come full circle. The reason you can't do resistance training is because the way that you're thinking about resistance training is that it's got to be this hour-long session. No, that's not it, right? It's got to be like everything else in Better Body Academy. It's got to be messy. You do it messy. You do it messy, kicking and screaming. Guess what happens? Life changes. This is really resonating with my life, Nick says, not just about mindset, but about weight loss. Yeah, exactly. This is why the podcast works. The frustration of my entire existence as a coach is, how do you cut through all the noise and try to get to the people who are struggling because they're not hearing these messages. They're listening to fucking 21-year-old Jennifer that's telling them to do star jumps in the living room, and they're sitting there at 120 kilos going, really? Like, you're fucking serious? This is what you're telling me to do? I'm a failure. I can't do that. Anyway, Rant over, team. Rant over. I hope you guys are having a beautiful, beautiful start to the day, morning. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. I hope it's been helpful. And if you would like a copy of this podcast, the workout program inside of our client group, Troy completed the men's one yesterday. I'm pretty sure he's close to doing the same thing for the female one. I'll let him know, but send a message through to our crew. James says, I love this style of conversation. This is where the keys are. It is, mate. This is where the unlock is. The issue, James, is if you don't come in and come drink from the fountain, you don't get it. And that's the tough part, mate, right? So much shit out there. It's hard to get through the noise. Anyway, boys, girls, thanks for coming in. We'll see you soon. By the way, girls, if you aren't already aware, to the ladies that are watching this, Carly and Erin have a coaching call starting in exactly 9 minutes. And if you would like to go join that call, you definitely should. See you soon. Peace.